Here we have today the Geep. That is the mixture of a goat and a sheep. They call it Geep. And we have also the Liger, mixing a lion and a tiger. Also there's the Zonkey, mixing a zebra and a donkey. And there was cloning recently and so on. So that scientists now are bending the nature and showing that they could create things. And this is nothing new. The good book says there's nothing new under the sun. Chihuahua, I understand, is family, been breeding and breeding and breeding until they become miniaturized and so on. So folks have developed a kind of wisdom. They think that they could alter how nature exists. And so this don't seem to be anything new. Adam and Eve were created giants. We're seeing some skulls around. They probably were about maybe 8 stories tall or more, and big size and so on, big giant. The finger maybe the size of my thighs. They could do my yeoman's work. But then the scripture records that after humans multiplied greatly, the sons of God saw the daughters of men, and the daughters of God saw the sons of men. That kind of thing. The men and the men and the women of God saw the men and women of man, and they fall in love. But some people try to say the sons of God were angels. They were the giants, and then the sons of men were us. But no, the sons of God were simply those who are his sons. They're following his instructions, offering the right sacrifice and so on. They are the descendants of Seth and other of Adam's children. But you remember Cain killed Abel, and he went one side and he had this curse and all that stuff. They started to do stuff. They started to have sex with other of God's creation. So that, the genetics is going to start changing, and they're going to have from major to minor sort of characteristics. So you have dominant, recessive, of whatever, and it's going to affect every aspects of life of the human: sight, eye color, hair color, height, strength, longevity, everything. And if they keep doing that, then their age is going to start dropping, because Adam lived to be 930 years or 32 years, and he's the one that came from the Maker's hand. He should have lived. In fact, those bodies were made to be, last forever. Had they passed the test, they would have eaten of the tree of life, and or whichever one, and they would have become immortal. Okay, so but then he had a relative, Methuselah, who lived to be 952 years. So, but Adam's problems could have been the guilt that came on because of what he and Eve did, and seeing they lose a son by Cain, kill Abel, and all the other things when Cain and them start amalgamating themselves with animals and start changing. So today, then look at it this way: if Adam and Eve, they were stories tall, should I believe that a sheep was as small as they are today, or sheep were as big as maybe an elephant plus? It could have been. But humans, I see this is why the flood came around, because when God looked, the people were so wicked. Look at this way: God said that everything he had created, that is plants and so forth, were good for meat. But then today, you can't go out and eat everything. Some are poisonous, some are thorns, some smell bad, some have that pollination strategy in the winter, in the spring, that all the pollen in the air causing respiratory problems. Some smell like rotten flesh, some eat flesh, all kind of stuff, and it's because of the amalgamation, the mixing plants, budding, and all that kind of stuff they were doing. You could get a scion and get a stalk and scion and add it on, and this tree is going to start bearing, within a year. You plant this stalk right now, you cut off the top, you get a part from a mature tree, and you bud it in there, and within a short time it's going to start to bear. This is how you have these miniature various things, apples and citrus trees and so forth. So here we see them doing it here. They're creating things that God had not created. Let us say God had created sheep and goat. The Geep, he has not created that. Or he had created the zebra and the donkey, he had not created the zonkey. And we could go on mixing it, but they tell me that you just can't mix anything. You can't mix maybe a tiger with an elephant or something like that, because there's some, I'm not too deep into genetics to understand what they're talking about. And so humans keep on trying to play God and so on, and a lot of the disease that we have today have come because of amalgamation of things. During the Middle Ages, of course, biology hadn't advanced to the way it is today, but these guys realized that when somebody died mysteriously, boils on the skin, whatever, they use that as a weapon, put him in a catapult and fling him into a walled city that they had sieged. And instead of these people, well, they can't, I guess they could do many of that, and it's going to be they can't necessarily burn the body up, because they're going to use up all the fuel, all right? And to dig a hole and throw the body in, I don't know if the wind would blow it, and you don't know what kind of organisms they were spreading and so forth, but they would come down with that disease, and apparently what they do is they have a whole bunch of disease, they put them together. They just know if they put them together, they get something, fabulous. And because many of these viruses and bacteria weren't in the beginning, except that man's constitution was so extraordinary, and being they weren't animals like we are today, perhaps the viruses and the bacteria couldn't attack their bodies. My understanding is that some of these pathogens could affect plants only, some animals, but they created others that could, swap, and more could do both sides. The point today is that humans have definitely brought us to where we at, and there's nothing new under the sun. These guys with the various amalgamating here and creating a different type of animal, that has been tried before the flood, and that's why God ended the whole world in the flood, because not only they were amalgamating themselves with other things, but they were doing it with animals and plants and the whole 9 yards. We don't know everything. They tell me that a plant needs water, minerals, and sunlight, gravity, water, and some other things to grow. But there might be other things that we can't really account for. And while it would show that if you do not have some of these elements and compounds involved in the growing of a plant, it will languish until it gets this. But there are things that could be operating out there that we can't see and understand and figure out, but it's also essential to the growth and so on of plants. But when humans mix things around, they don't know what it's going to produce, and it's highly probable that some of these substances, though it may not kill immediately, or maybe over time, it causes a whole bunch of problems, so that many of the diseases and some of the physical problems we have in today, it could be because of these experiments these guys are trying out with these plants. Genetic this, genetic that, mixing this and that to get more yield. The devil is telling these scientists, well, here what you could do, if you mix this plant and that plant, of course it's going to harm us down the road and create cancers or something. But he tells them, there may be a famine, so many people in the world, and this is going to produce rapidly and quicker and much more abundant and so forth. And they say, yes, this sounds good. But as I said once, it doesn't matter what they do, we are going to still have the famine. Because it's not necessarily because the plants aren't capable of producing all that we would need. But for example, overheating, global warming could be a way to knock it off. Land overgrazed or overfarmed. So many different things. There's another niche over there to show that maybe if you do corn and you make gasohol or whatever, alcohol from it or other things like that, there's a lot of money in that. So instead of planting things, rice and wheat and potatoes and other things like that, they're going to plant this corn. And then we realize that, we have a lot of corn, much of it is used for alcohol, but we don't have the starch, we don't have rice, we don't have wheat, we don't have these starchy things, and then it's a problem. So finally, You see, Toyota, these boys in Japan, they're making recalls of vehicles. Even North America too, they're making recalls. But you know, God hadn't to recall the humans that He made. Everything was just good. Everything was just good. When He makes something, it's perfect. You can't add to it. In fact, much of the electronics and mechanics that we have today are based on humans, because somehow chemicals are turned into electrical pulses and come around to make us behave a certain way. And similarly, if you could have a very delicate tester in a solution, when it becomes more than this, you add this into it, and when it becomes that, you stop. I mean, they're doing processes now based on how the body works. And so all I can say is God is good, and He's so smart that we ought to hook with Him and get some of His wisdom if we want to really survive in these times. Because with the little wisdom we have, we're thinking that we could become gods and we could create things, and all that we're creating is just the problems down the road. I recall in the beginning, tigers and lions, they were playing with the sheep, and they were lying with humans. How they became so vicious today? Well, perhaps they mixed them into something else and bred it and keep breeding it to be vicious. And I understand gold was on the top of the earth, and the fellas gathered it, and so they need to watch it and protect it. So the trained animals. Today we have these animals out there fierce. They're eating humans. They're eating up whatever. So don't play God, man. Just be happy. Just don't go there and hurt yourself.